Hi friends, this is Marilyn from Tarot Clarity. You're probably seeing this the day after Thanksgiving, but this is being done on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I've done a few videos in advance that I can enjoy the holiday with my family. But I also want to have something for you guys because you mean something to me too, and without your support and without your presence on my channel, I wouldn't have a channel, you know. And I want to mention also that for those of you who are members or would like to be members, I have the bowl, right? So if you go to the video under members that says contest November members, you don't even have to watch the video if you don't want to. Just find that video, put your name in the comments section, and as soon as your name goes in that section, I put your name in the bowl. And then the last day of November, I'll do a pull for, you know, whoever wins will get a free reading. Now, I understand that not everybody who's a member wants a reading, right? But it'll be my signature spread. I'm going to give you my signature spread. And I think it'll be fun. And for December, I already know what I'm going to do. For the December reading, I'll do the end of the year read for the coming year, which is a much bigger spread. I think there's I think there's 16 cards. Don't quote me. I think there's about 16 cards. So for the projection for December, the read will be for the coming year, a personal spread for the coming year. And I think there's 16 cards in that spread. So it'll be a good one too. So please, if you'd like to become a member, by all means do. It's only 99 cents a month, and it's, you know, it's a and I do give videos just for the consumption of my membership, but I will have a prize every month, you know. So I hope you think it's worth it, and I think you're worth it, so that's why I'm doing it. So today I thought I would do, I don't know what the reading is going to be on yet. I have to meditate on that and reflect on that, but I know what deck I'm using. I'm using the Vergnano because I thought about it in recent days when I realized my faux pas in calling the butterfly, the first time a butterfly appeared on a Fool card in tarot. I had in two videos, one that I did for the Rosenwald Redux and the other one that I did when I was showing my out-of-print deck, this one. Oh, no, not this one. What was the other deck that I guess it wasn't an I don't know. I'm not sure what other video it was, but I discussed that the Vergnano was the first, that I said that the Vecchetta was the first deck, but it was really the Vergnano. And ever since then, I pulled this deck out because I thought, oh, this is such a great deck. It used to be my favorite deck until the Metelli came and stole my heart. And the Metelli, actually, the first time I ever saw a Metelli, it was probably the one published by Giordano Berti, as this one is, because I think it must have been Giordano's deck. There was also another one by Lo Scarabeo, the Anima Mundi, but I think I had the Metelli by Giordano Berti, and the only reason that I couldn't use it was because it was, you know, it was a Tarocchino deck, right? It was a Tarocchino, so I didn't have cards 2 through 5. So I could have used it, but it wouldn't have 2 through 5, you know. And that's when I started my campaign to get a Metelli that was complete. And I don't know if he did it for me or not, but I think, you know, Marco heard it, and, you know, and he did it. And maybe he gives me a little bit of credit for that because I did get the #1 deck in his first run of the Metelli. So I'm grateful for that. This is a beautiful deck, and up until the Metelli, it was my favorite deck. So I'm going to use, and you know what? This deck shuffles like a dream. Let me show you how it shuffles. Oh, and I do remember the other deck that I was talking about. It was the Franco Bruno Tarocco Bizarro that also had the butterfly in the. See how that on the full card. See how that shuffle. I mean, it feels really good. The texture of this paper is sublime. Yeah. Oh yeah. There is some type of, you know, I think the word lamination is strong, but it's a quality cardstock. Definitely a quality cardstock. It's a great cardstock. So I'd give a shout out to Giordano Berti, who I exclusively purchased from him back in the day. Most of my and I have quite a few decks by Giordano. I don't mean to be dismissive of him at all. He has some wonderful decks. They're beautiful decks. Some of my favorite decks too. But Marco just sort of came on the scene and stole everybody's hearts, including mine. Well, he's so prolific. But there are other wonderful card makers and publishers, and I don't mean to be dismissive of any of them. Okay, so I'm going off into my meditative place. I'll come back with a question. Okay, what I came up with was, what will the end of this year look like for you-know-who and his, let's just see, like by the end of December, what will it look like? Now, I will reevaluate beginning in December sometime. I'm going to reevaluate. I'm going to have to find some readings that I did for the year of 2025 when he took office to see how, I did a full year spread, and I want to go back and see the things that might have played out. And we'll report on that. And I also did one for my own health and well-being, and I want to play that out too. I want to see how that played out, because by the time the year comes to an end, I don't always remember everything, So I'll have to rewatch both of those videos. But I just want to see. This will be a short-term projection. This will just be the month of December, before the new year. What kind of things should we expect to see play out regarding the buffoon? Let's just do one more. I felt like I should do one more. There we go. Okay, so we have the Queen, the Dama of Swords. So this could be a woman judge. This could be, somebody in a position of power in the government. Now, remember, I interpret cards in the context of a question, and so this could be mental illness, because obviously our leader is insane or in the throes of dementia, or both. It could also just be uncertainty. It could be deception. It could be a number of things. Let's just see how they play out. Oops, I'm sorry. Okay, well, we know that the next one is going to be the Hanged Man. So we have another queen. Now, this is a queen of empathy, of compassion. So we have whatever the moon card is representing in this case, flanked by two women who are not polar opposites, but one is sharp-tongued, perhaps aggressive, assertive, could be a legal mind, just could be an acerbic thinker if it's in his camp. And then we have a woman who could be over-emotional, because we're in his camp. Remember, it could be an over-emotional person, or it could be a compassionate and empathetic person, or those qualities. So we have the punishment card. So maybe some people will be punished. Front and center of the core nine, what have we here? Front and center is 10 of Cups, so it's put a fork in it. Now this could be, and it falls under, notice it falls under the card of the moon. So it could be an over, maybe it'll be time that they start talking about, maybe they'll start talking about Amendment 25. Maybe. Because that will be a way for him to avoid punishment, right? If it's Amendment 25, if he's seen to be unfit, then he's not going to go down for like liability or something. That's what I'm thinking. I think I mentioned this in another reading, maybe the reading that you guys saw yesterday, but I did it, yesterday. I did it like Monday or Tuesday of this week. So, but you might see it a day or two after Thanksgiving, where it occurred to me that his regime, his people allow him to go off at night and act crazy. And they don't turn off his crazy valve because maybe they're trying to go for Amendment 25. Did you ever think of that? That's a distinct possibility. Because maybe they want to get rid of him. Maybe. But at any rate, I think, we reach a saturation point with his, mental stuff. And there's a card of punishment here. And here we have another queen. Wow. So we have 3 queens. So we have a lot of feminine energy, and 2 of them are very assertive. Okay, let's get through it. We do have a king. Well, okay, so there's a lot of players in this. All right, so there's a lot of players. There's a lot of people involved, which makes sense. Okay, here we go. So, because this is a reading about the government and what we can expect to see happen. So there's going to be a flourish of activity for sure. And then it ends with a really weak number, like 2, right? Of what could that be? A bond begins with a Queen of Swords who starts out strong, and then we have like a very low-ranking numeric value that ends it. And we have 1, 2, 3. We have 4 cards from the suit of swords, and 3 of the 4 of them are people. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 9 cards are people, discounting the 6th person who's being punished, or discussion of punishment. Now here, if we look at the King and Queen of Swords, they could be lending an idea toward, or a nod toward justice, or law. So there could be a sense that there's talk about criminal stuff. But there's also possibly the thought of avoiding the criminal stuff by the lunacy, right? Or the, Amendment 25. Let's pull the Quint cards. For those of you unfamiliar with this spread, it's a spread that I developed. You're welcome to use it. Please give me credit if you do. There's a tutorial called Tutorial for My Signature Spread. And if you can't find it in my video list, then ask me and I will put the link to that tutorial in the descriptive area below. But if you don't ask, I just don't do it. Alrighty, so we'll see that there are, I mentioned while I was laying down the cards, that there's a lot of people involved. So there's going to be a flurry of activity with key players. Another thing is I would suspect that some of it hinges on the mental stability of the, mental genius we have, perhaps as a way of avoiding punishment. And we also see the Fool leaving the picture, which is kind of interesting. Now, I don't see the death card, so it's not suggesting that maybe he goes by death. But there might be something in the plan. So who's the biggest idiot we know? I mean, in regard to this question, right? So, and reckless person and careless person and dangerous person. Remember the Fool card was a dangerous card in the tarot game, right? It was a very dangerous card, for the opponent, right? So, and in the context of the question, it's all relative to the question, right? If I didn't have a question, this would be a very vague reading, but I can hone in because we have a question. So the fact that he's walking away, I'm wondering if there's going to be an effort made to have him exit without punishment, which would be a crime. I'm telling you, he's got an exit strategy, but whatever. And one of the Quint card. Now we have on the row that had the mental illness or the deception or whatever. We have that again as the Quint card, and for this I pulled the Tarocco Bizarro, because it was as I discussed in the video I did the other day, this deck was a satirical take on the Piedmontese deck, which this is, right? So it was a fun nod and I just used it. So this row is all about his handlers, perhaps the feminine handlers, the female handlers in his arena, dealing with his nonsense, his emotional stuff. Now, as much as we loathe KL, because she's a lion sack of you-know-what herself, she's got her hands full because she's constantly doing damage control, unless she believes it, in which case maybe it's fun for her. But there's a team of women who are handling that thing, I think. And there's, in here we have another woman that's not a man. We have another woman who might be on the angle of the mental illness kind of stuff to avoid punishment and have him exit. And then, of course, the final outcome card is the judgment card, which is being held accountable. So it's interesting that we have punishment, oversaturation of emotional lunacy, perhaps a woman who's handling that, we have 3 women here, right? And then the fool exiting the situation, but he's also encountering judgment, being held accountable. So he may end up there may be some accountability. There might be a plan in place to have him escape it, but he walks right into accountability, which I think is interesting. The big row begins and ends with punishment and accountability and being handled for his lunacy, which is kind of interesting. Now, this bottom row, I'm not really sure what to make of it. We have the female pope is the quint card for this row. And she has a book, and she is the highest ranking individual in this spread. So she has the most authority. This one really might be a big judge. She might be somebody who is, perhaps a Supreme Court judge or something, who might figure, if these are other judges or his other handlers or his people in his camp, but this one is the one who has the most power. And she flanks this row and she falls under here. So she may have something to do with whether or not he escapes, punishment or faces accountability. But these two, this row here, I'm not real clear on, I'll be honest. It's the only 2 men, besides the one who's being punished and the one who's him, who maybe there's like some kind of backdoor deal, right? There's some kind of thing going on in the background. Now, I don't see the justice card. The justice card would suggest to me that the people who are guilty, when the justice card pops up, it means things will work out the way they should. It's a card of justice. It's a card of lack of chaos. It's a card of stability. It's a card of making things right. Well, that card doesn't appear here, right? So I get a sense that maybe he, although we have a card of accountability here, that might be accountability in the face of the public or among the public. It might not be accountability in a court of law because I don't see justice. And there might be some kind of backdoor deal. And if you want to look at this as a door, and he's coming through it, a message from the big person in charge. I'm kind of seeing this, this is weird. And this is how tarot is kind of strange, and however a message comes to you. But I could see this as her having a say and him coming through the door to relay the information. So there may be some kind of backdoor thing going on that I don't know what it is. But that's the sense I'm getting here, is that there's some kind of a backdoor maneuver, or something happening. This would suggest something going on behind the scenes, right? But I'm picking up more, and that's possible, but I'm picking up this top row with the moon as being his, his nuts, his whatever's going on in that brain of his, and trying to do some damage control, and then using it to their advantage, maybe to have him exit and have an exit strategy. But he does seem to walk into accountability, but that might just be accountability in the public's view. But there might be some kind of backdoor strategy that remains to be seen how it turns out. I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out. It's kind of interesting. It might be too early to know conclusively what's going to happen, but I think this is the gist or the momentum at this moment. I hope you found this interesting. And this is a beautiful deck. I am positive that I did a showcasing of this deck. And if you'd like to see it with commentary, because at the time I probably did research and probably remembered a lot of things that I don't remember right now, So try to find it in my not in my playlist, but in my, well, it's probably under it's probably under Historic Italian Tarot playlist or something like that. Well, admittedly, there's probably 400 videos in that playlist, but it's a beautiful deck. It's a gorgeous deck. I love this deck, and I think it's from 17 something. Let me look and see. I think it's 1734 or something, if my memory serves me right, but don't quote me because my brain doesn't always remember things good. Case in point, Vergnano and say 1830. I was only 100 years off. But I do think that this deck, when it came out, kind of was a big deal. Yeah, let's see. I think when this deck came out, it was... Oh, and I have a coin. I don't know why I put it here. Italian States coin. Sometimes I put coins with the decks. Now, this came from the 1200s, so it's not likely to have been a coin that was played with this, when people were playing this deck. But let's find a coin. Let's see. Let's find a card from the suit of coins. Okay, here we go. Let's see. I must have put it in there because it resembled. Well, it kind of does. But this came from the 1200s, this coin. So chances are good it wasn't in play at the time of this deck. I mean, it wasn't, probably it was already worn out by the time this deck came out, but people wouldn't have been playing with this coin, playing cards with this coin by the 1800s. I doubt it, don't you? But they may have still had similar cards with well, obviously they did because they still have the little flower motif. Interesting. Anyway, you never know what you're going to find in my decks. Anyway, friends, thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for supporting me all year. Thank you for being members. Thank you for pushing the hype button, coffee, super thanks. Everything you do to support this channel. I genuinely, most sincerely appreciate your presence here. And take advantage of the contest if you're a member or would like to be a member. And I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving Day. I'm sure I did. I haven't had it yet, but I'm sure it will be a wonderful holiday. I have no doubt that it will be. Until next time, peace, stay well, be brave, be kind, show up, speak up, vote. Bye.